All right, welcome to Align Trading. Taking a look at the week ahead here with the SPY. But before we go over that, I do want to talk about last week and where we sit here. So on the daily chart, as I talked about all last week, pay attention to this 20-day moving average. If there is a regain of this, then you can see this move grabbing this liquidity, right? Go watch the last video where I talked about this. And if not, you also have to be very careful with this 5-day. If we continue to hold below it, right, we can start to close this inverse cup and head back down right here. As you can see on the 30, right, closing this inverse cup, we have this handle forming here in green, and this is the 5-day. So pay attention. Next level will be right here, and we will close this inverse cup and then continue heading down. But you still do have to be very, very careful. As you can see right here, we have this cup and this potential handle forming here with yellow and orange. And if we regain the 5-day, right, you see how we have all of this liquidity on the way up. We will close this cup right here, and then with this blue and yellow algo, we will start breaking out of this 20-day moving average. So it is super, super straightforward. If you cannot understand this, can't grasp it, that is on you. Very, very easy to see what is going on here, as well as seeing this potential range that we might be in. If we cannot regain these, right, we're not just going to instantly shoot through the bottom of this again as well. Like I talked about with the inverse cup, right, we could start to be in some sort of range right here, and you have to just be very, very careful with that. We talked about this cup right here, we talked about this cup right here, and the handle, right, again, another cup, and then into next week, right, we could not form that handle, right, so we're waiting on that cup to close, or like we have here on the way down. Now, if you've been paying attention at all this week, again, it is always straightforward, right? We see this orange selling algo that we are in right here, and then we also see this yellow that we have as well. So if you start to see that right above the 5 MA, it's super straightforward. Otherwise, right, we continue seeing this green algo on the way down right here, right? You see that green algo. You see that green algo. Now, on Thursday, we did have an OPEX day, as you can see within this very, very tight range right here. But you can see how we are starting to form this, as well as potentially having to pay attention to that as well with this liquidity to close this cup, right? And then the next level. But as usual, right, the levels are butter, as you can see right here. And if you were patient, right, you can see this algo, probably not a trade I would take, right, of course, with this chop. But right here, inverse cup, you can see that handle, head and shoulder, boom, one and done for the day, right? You see that algo, head and shoulder again, and there is your move, right? We start to close this cup right here. Yes, this is the handle. Hard trade right here to take. Same thing right here. This is a difficult trade to take without the handle. We want to see that handle right back below this, and then if so, all right, close the cup back at the low of day. So really the only trade that there was here in the morning, and then again, right, you have that same algo working right here with the head and shoulder, and another head and shoulder right there. We finally do close that level that I talked about, and then again, right, that same algo, and here is your head and shoulder. Now, I've given you everything that will prepare you for the week ahead, right? We're still just waiting on this 20 and 5 MA. When they get tight together like this, of course, you are going to expect some chop, right? Look at this range. Notice the range. You can see the candles from last week, these 4 candles within this range as we are building liquidity. It was a short week. Of course, you're going to expect some chop, especially without the regain of the 20. Now, if we regained the 20 last week, of course, we would have had some upside, right? Or either a nice rejection off of it again. So that's something that we can pay attention to here into next week. If we do move up to this, right, and this is a bigger move like that, this is what you'll see. Otherwise, we already talked about the inverse cup, right? So even if on Monday there is a move up back up towards this 5 MA, and then we create that liquidity right here and then start to dump again. The last thing that I am going to go over here is here's my P&L calendar again. And as you can see, right, go watch last month's video as well. I think I had 21 wins to maybe 3 red days. And again, here we are, middle of the month, 8 wins to 2 red days that I both had on Mondays. All good, not worried about that. But the bigger point of the story here is any of you chumps out here that are disproving this or doubting it, I don't care, right? You are watching my videos. If you're even here, stop watching, right? Leave. If you're a member, you don't enjoy it, cancel. It does not matter to me. Those of you who are here to truly learn and understand the craft of this, I welcome you in, right? Shoot me messages. I'm happy to help you, happy to talk to you. Anything you need, I am at your service. As I've gone over for the last few months, I am still dealing with some personal things. I have not been able to get to the charts, but I'm still here every single day, as you can see, trying to keep up with the recap. So I appreciate those of you who are here. Have a great rest of your weekend. That's all.